Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So today's video is not going to be a vlog. It's going to be this delicious vegetable and keema biryani. It's slightly healthier. It's not completely healthy because you deep fry the potatoes, I'm not even going to lie. But it is slightly healthier than a usual biryani because it's got a lot more vegetables in it. I'm going to leave the recipe in the description of this video so you can follow along, but in this video I'm just going to kind of explain what I'm doing and how to do it so that if you don't know how to cook at all, then it's easier for you to follow a video. As you can see, the first thing that I'm doing is cutting up 3 onions and I'm slicing them as finely as I can. My mandolin, which I usually use to chop up onions, is broken, so I'm having to chop them by hand. Once all of your onions are sliced, add 3 tablespoons of oil to a pan and add your onions and then leave them to fry on a medium heat. I'm using a flat-headed wooden spatula. I don't know if that's what it's called, but I use one of these because it's easier to break up the onions and the quinoa, and you just want to make sure all of the onions are coated in oil. Once you've separated all of the onions, you want to leave it on a medium heat while you prepare your vegetables. First thing I'm going to do is grate 2 carrots. The other day I actually froze some peppers which I chopped into small pieces, and I'm going to add a few handfuls of this, but you can use fresh peppers if you want to. You can add as many or as little as you like, and then I'm just going to leave that to the side until it's ready to add. The next thing you want to do is chop up your tomatoes and add them to a blender. You don't have to do this, but I feel like if you do this it's a lot quicker to cook your quinoa because all of the tomatoes are already broken down by the blender. I added a little bit of water so that it would help it blend nicely. Now it's time to prepare your spices. I've got half a tablespoon of coriander powder, and don't forget to check on your onions because you don't want them to burn. Now I'm adding half a tablespoon of cumin powder, half a teaspoon of haldi, half a teaspoon of chilli powder, and then 1 green chilli which I chopped in half, but you can use crushed chillies, blended chillies, whatever you've got, and then half a tablespoon of garlic and ginger paste. Once your onions are golden brown, you want to remove about half of them, probably a little bit less than half of them, and leave them aside for later. Now it is time to add your vegetables, so you're going to add your carrots and your peppers and just give that a stir. And then you can add your spices, and I forgot to add salt to my spices, so I just added a bit now. And then at this point you want to give it a really good stir. Make sure all of the vegetables are coated in the spices, and then just keep stirring until the vegetables cook down a little bit, soften up a little bit. And then you want to add your mince. I didn't film adding the mince. Then you just want to give it a really good stir, make sure everything's combined, all the spices coat the mincemeat, and just break up all the mincemeat with your wooden spatula. This is where it's really going to come in handy. Keep doing this until the mincemeat is fully cooked, and then you want to add your tomato puree and just give that a good stir in. Once the tomato puree has been stirred in thoroughly, you want to add the tomatoes and water that you blended up earlier. After the tomatoes are all stirred in, you can give it a little taste for salt and then add more if you need to. I needed to. And then you want to keep stirring until everything is nicely combined. And then you want to add some water. I just used the cup from the tomatoes that I blended and just washed that out and poured it into my mince. Again, you want to stir it until everything is combined, and then you can put it onto the back heat and turn it down to the lowest setting, and then cover it with a lid. Now we are moving on to the potatoes, and you don't have to do this step if you want your biryani to be healthier, but this step is delicious, I'm not even going to lie. So I've peeled the potatoes and cut them into these quite big cubes, and then we're going to deep fry them. After I'd cut the potatoes up into pieces, I checked on the keema again and added some peas to it. You can add spinach at this point as well if you want to. I was going to, but I forgot. And then just cover it again and let it cook for another 10 minutes or so. And while that's happening, you want to measure out your rice. So I'm using 2 cups of rice, and make sure you wash your rice properly over and over again so that it runs almost clear. It's never going to look completely clear, but you can make it so that you can see the rice through the water, if you know what I mean. At this point as well, you want to make sure that you've heated up your oil. Then you can start frying your potatoes, and then you can just leave them to the side until you need them. And then I'm also going to take out the chilies that I left in my keema, but obviously if you didn't use a full chili, then you don't need to do this part. At this point as well, the keema is all cooked, so you can turn the heat off, cover it, and then move it to the side while you do everything else you need to do. Now that the potatoes are cooked, you can make them a little bit more brown if you want to, but I like them like this. You can just take them out and let them cool. You can add some salt to them so you don't have to do that later, and then they are ready. Now it's time to start cooking the rice. So I have a pan of water, and I'm going to add some cinnamon, bay leaf, some cloves, some peppercorns and some cardamom. And I'm just going to add that to the water, and then I'm just going to give that a quick stir. I'm going to let that boil for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to remove all of the whole spices with a sieve. Once you've removed all of the spices, you want to add some salt to the water and just taste the water. It should taste a slightly saltier than you want the rice to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and wash up the rice a couple more times before I add it to the water. When I cook my rice, I like to use the method of adding a lot more water than rice, so that's why I've got a big pan full of water. I add my rice to it and then I cook it until it's just about cooked, so I keep checking on it every 5 minutes just so I can see how it's coming along. And then when it looks like this, I take it out, I drain it off, shake off as much water as I can, and then I put the rice onto a baking tray so that it can let off some steam and kind of just get rid of some extra moisture. Okay, so now you want to turn your oven onto 150 degrees, ready for later, and everything is now prepared, so I can start compiling the biryani. So I don't really like to do this in any kind of order, I just do whatever I feel like, but I always start with a layer of rice at the bottom. I don't know why I like to do that. And then I add some mincemeat, and then add potatoes and onions, and honestly you can do this in any order. Please don't get mad at me for doing it wrong if I'm doing it the way that you don't like it, but this is just how I do it. So when you're compiling your biryani, you just want to kind of layer it up so that you've got layers of rice, meat, potatoes, the onions, and then everything will all just cook so nicely together in the oven, and it will just be so lovely when you take that first spoonful out and you can see all the lovely layers. So when it comes to the last layer of the biryani, I like to use a big layer of rice, and then I put the potatoes on and then some onions on top as well, and I just think that just gives it a nice look at the end. And that is your biryani ready for the oven. All you want to do now is cover it with some foil and a lid, and then just stick it straight into the oven and cook it for 30 minutes. And now that it's all done, you are ready to eat it. Enjoy this, and you can have it with yogurt, you can have it with salad, you can blend up some yogurt, cumin, salt and coriander, and it makes a really nice sauce. and it is just so delicious, so please enjoy this as much as I do. So if you try this recipe yourself, please let me know if you like it. Leave a comment to let me know if you're going to try it and if you'd like to see more recipe videos from me, and if you do want to see more recipe videos, what kind of recipes would you like to see. But that is going to be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!